That night, the high school parking lot lights were just a thin, blade-like yellow strip. I saw my stepmother, thinking no one was watching, open the door to my guidance counselor's pickup truck and climb inside. The next morning, my conduct record vanished. The scholarship was gone, and she landed a board seat at my father's company, 10 years later, at Grayford Tower. I run risk and compliance, and I still have the camera card from that night. My name is Ava Calder. From my office on the 28th floor, I can see the whole of Westvale. It looks clean from this high up. Sterile. An orderly grid of lights against the black velvet of the hills. My monitor is bright. My keyboard clicks with a quiet, expensive sound. I am 28 years old, and I am the head of risk and compliance at Hearthline Foods, headquartered in Grayford Tower. My job is to find the rot, to trace the cracks in the foundation before the building fails. My job is to trust the data, not the people. But when I close my eyes, I'm not here. I'm 10 years gone. I'm 18. I'm cold. The air in my lungs is wet. I'm hiding behind the aluminum skeleton of the Norcrest High bleachers. The metal smells like rust and flat. Sticky soda. It's 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. The game ended hours ago. The floodlights are dead. And the silence of the empty field is heavy, broken only by the drip. Drip. Drip of condensation falling from the steel struts onto the dead grass below. The air is thick with the smell of bus exhaust, old gasoline, and the sharp, green scent of wet turf. There is only one light, a single, failing sodium lamp at the far end of the faculty parking lot. It casts a weak, cancerous yellow. It makes the shadows stretch and twist. I shouldn't have been there. I was waiting for a ride that wasn't coming. My father was supposed to get me, an hour ago. His text came through. Running late. Raina has a client thing. Take the bus. The last bus left at 9. So I was waiting. A stupid, cold ghost haunting the stadium, hoping he'd remember. That's when I saw her. Raina. Not Raina Calder. Not yet. She was just Raina. My father's sleek, ambitious image consultant, the woman he'd been dating for 8 months, the woman who had moved into my mother's house. She walked with a speed that always felt predatory. Her heels, too sharp, too expensive for a high school parking lot, clicked on the asphalt. Click, 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 a sound that didn't belong. She wasn't walking to her leased Mercedes, parked near the gate. She was cutting across the empty staff section. She was walking straight toward the dark blue Ford F-150 parked in the darkest spot. Parker's truck? My blood turned to ice. Mr. Parker, my guidance counselor and faculty advisor for the state scholarship, the man who signed off on the conduct reports, the faculty advisor for the state scholarship, the man who was, at that moment, reviewing my final application. He was bland, soft, the kind of nice, forgettable man who wore beige cardigans, the kind of man parents trusted. Raina didn't slow down. She reached the passenger side. Her head swiveled, scanning the darkness. She looked left. She looked right. She thought she was alone. She didn't look up. She didn't see me. Her hand reached for the handle. The lock mechanism clicked, a sound that seemed to echo off the empty stadium wall. The passenger door swung open. She climbed inside. The dome light flashed on for exactly 1 second, just long enough to illuminate the sharp, determined line of her jaw. Then, darkness. The truck's suspension groaned as her weight settled. I stopped breathing. I pressed my spine flat against the cold, damp metal. My heart wasn't beating. It was punching. A heavy, panicked fist against my ribs. I waited. The wind whistled through the empty stands. I counted the seconds. Then, the windows began to fog. It wasn't slow. It was a fast, chemical reaction, a sudden, opaque grayness spreading across the glass, as if someone inside had just exhaled all the air in their lungs at once. It wasn't the fog of passion. It was too cold for that. It was the fog of anxiety, the heat of a transaction. A sound cut through the night, a muffled whoomp. I knew that sound. It was the sound of a heavy stack of papers hitting a desk, the sound of my dad's briefcase hitting the hall table. This was heavier. A large manila envelope, stuffed thick, hitting the dashboard. I flinched, even from 50 yards away. A moment later, a sharp, artificial blue light glowed from within the cab. A phone screen. It lit up Mr. Parker's silhouette. He was just a shape, his head nodding quickly. The light caught the vapor on the glass, turning the fog into a swirling private galaxy of conspiracy. The light vanished. More silence. My backpack was digging into my shoulder. The zipper felt frozen. Inside, under my textbooks, was the team camcorder, a heavy black Sony. I was supposed to be filming the cheer team's pyramid formations, analyzing their balance, their flaws. My fingers were numb, clumsy, stupid with cold. I ripped the zipper open. The sound was like a tear in the fabric of the night. I froze. The truck stayed dark. I pulled the camera out. Its plastic body was as cold as a weapon. I raised it, bracing my elbow on the metal crossbar, trying to control my shaking. I flicked the power switch. The small green on light seemed to scream in the dark. I aimed it at the truck. I hit the red button. The viewfinder was black. I fumbled for the zoom toggle. The lens ground, a tiny, high-pitched mechanical whine. The autofocus hunted, swimming in a blur of yellow light and black shadow. Focus, focus, you piece of junk. And then it did. It locked onto the passenger side window, the fogged glass. It was grainy. It was mostly useless, but it was something. I held my breath, trying to keep the heavy camera steady. I filmed the fog. I filmed the silence. I filmed the yellow light reflecting off the wet glass. 18 seconds. At the 19th second, the dome light flashed on again, bright and sudden. The passenger door opened. Raina climbed out. She stood for a second, smoothing the front of her expensive wool coat. She adjusted her bag on her shoulder. She didn't look back at the truck. She just turned and walked away. Click, click, click. Her steps were fast, measured, disappearing into the darkness toward the main road. The truck's engine roared to life. The headlights cut two sharp cones through the dark. Parker sped off in the opposite direction. I hit the button. The red light went out. I stared at the tiny playback screen. Practice 17.mp4. 18 seconds of grainy fog. The muffled whump of the envelope. The mic was sensitive. And a final, crystal-clear half-second frame of Raina's face, illuminated by the dome light as she opened the door. I pulled the battery. I ejected the tiny SD card. It felt hot. Radioactive. I jammed it into the small coin pocket of my jeans. The next morning, the fluorescent lights of Norcrest High felt too bright. The hallway chatter sounded like static. I was called to the guidance office before first period. Mr. Parker was there, leaning against his filing cabinet. He was too jovial. He smelled like stale coffee and cheap, powdered soap. Ava, just the person. Sit, sit. I sat. The chair was cold. Just doing a final audit of the graduating class records, he said, not looking at me, tapping his keyboard. You know, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. We had a little glitch in the system. A few of your homeroom attendances were miscoded. He swiveled the monitor. I saw my name, my grades, my perfect attendance. Just fixing the clerical error. He smiled. That smile didn't reach his eyes. I watched his hand on the mouse. He clicked. A green present mark turned into a red, unexcused absence. He clicked again. AU? 2 clicks, 2 absences. From his homeroom, I was never absent. Those 2 red marks were surgical. They dropped my conduct GPA from a 4.0 to a 3.7. The state scholarship, the full ride, the one that was my only way out of Westvale, had a non-negotiable 3.8 conduct requirement. There we go, he said, clicking save. All tidy? My stomach dropped into the floor. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed. By lunch, the email arrived. I read it on my phone in the cafeteria, the noise of the room fading to a dull roar. Regret to inform you, disqualified. Failure to meet conduct metrics. It was instant. By third period, the kill shot, The university admissions office, my personal essay, the one I had written about my mother, had been flagged by the review committee for similarity to outside sources. Plagiarism. A clean, devastating, impossible to fight lie. My application was voided. My scholarship was gone. My future was erased in 3 clicks and a phone call. I ran home. I burst through the front door, gasping. He did it. He failed me. Parker, he sabotaged me. My father and Raina were in the kitchen. They were drinking champagne. "She got it," my father boomed. His face flushed. He raised his glass. "Raina just finalized her contract. She's officially consulting for Hearthline Foods." "I told him," I screamed, shaking. "I told him what I saw. The truck, the envelope, the fogged windows, the emails. He did it for you." Raina stood up. She didn't look angry. She looked sad. It was a brilliant, tactical performance. She placed her hand on my father's chest. Her voice was smooth, like expensive olive oil. "Dean, honey, she's heartbroken she didn't get the scholarship. I told you the pressure was too much. Ava, I was at a networking gala downtown all night. I have receipts. Mr. Parker, that's a terrible, terrible accusation. Why would you make something like that up?" "I saw you," I yelled, my voice cracking. "I have it on video." My father's face darkened. "Video?" "Yes, on the team camera." "So you stole school property?" Raina interjected, her voice soft, laced with pity. "Ava, honey, this isn't like you." My father turned on me. His eyes were cold. "That is enough. Ava, you will not make these insane accusations against Raina. You failed. It happens. You will apologize to her. Now, we do not tolerate this kind of hysteria in this family." I looked at his cold, disappointed face. Then I looked at her perfectly sculpted mask of concern. And I knew I had lost. He believed her. He chose her. I didn't apologize. I just turned and walked to my room. The lock clicking shut was the only sound. That fall, while my friends went to dorms, I started serving eggs at the Westvale Diner. I worked a year of 60-hour weeks. The smell of bleach and burnt coffee became my reality. I was 18, and I was buried. But they made one mistake. They didn't break me. They forged me. That year in the diner wasn't a prison. It was a crucible. I learned to watch people. I learned how the waitstaff skimmed tips, how the manager fudged inventory logs. I enrolled in community college. My first class, Accounting 101. While my father and Raina were featured in the Westvale Gazette, Hearthline's new power couple, I was learning about debits and credits. I was learning the language of proof. I didn't just want justice. I wanted to be the justice. The night before I left for the state university, a year late, on my own dime, with my diner money, I went into my father's study. The house was dark. They were at some gala. I pulled the SD card from the coin pocket of my oldest jeans, the ones I kept in the back of my closet. I went to his bookshelf. It was all for show. Corporate governance. Tax law compendium. And there it was. Principles of Internal Auditing, 1994. A thick blue binder he'd gotten at a seminar and never opened. I took a utility knife from his desk. I made a precise, 1-inch slice in the heavy cardboard spine. I slid the SD card into the slit. It vanished, a digital sin, hidden inside the analog Bible of the very system that betrayed me. An invisible staple, a promise. I clawed my way up, forensic accounting, certified fraud examiner. I learned how to build a case. I learned how to read a system log. And now I'm here. Raina is the chief people officer at Hearthline Foods, the anchor tenant of this building. She runs all of HR. She talks about culture and transparency. She smiles at me in the glass elevators. She thinks she won. She thinks that girl behind the bleachers is gone. She thinks I forgot. But I am Ava Calder. I don't forget. I just wait for the right system to flip the switch. My father, Dean Calder, president of Hearthline Foods, married Raina 8 months after my scholarship vanished. While I was learning the precise weight of an empty coffee pot at the Westvale Diner, They were toasting with champagne at a small, tasteful ceremony. I didn't attend. I was covering a double shift. My wedding gift was my silence. Raina's ascent was meteoric, but also insidious. It was a masterpiece of integration. She began as his image consultant, a role vague enough to mean anything. She polished his speeches, softened the lighting in the annual reports. She was brilliant at it. She convinced a man who sold frozen dinners that he was selling family connection. Within 2 years, she wasn't just consulting, she was directing. She created a new position for herself, Chief People Officer, CPO. She wasn't just in the company, she was its self-proclaimed soul. She was in charge of culture. It was a word she wielded like a shield. Culture, connection, family. The Westvale Gazette ate it up. They ran a glossy Sunday feature. The Calder clan, blending business and family. There was a photo. My father, looking proud and sturdy, Raina, glowing, her hand on his arm, and me. Oh, yes, I was in that photo. I had just been hired at Hearthline. They'd insisted. I'm standing slightly apart, in my new, ill-fitting corporate suit. My smile is a thin, compliant line. The caption called us a model family and praised the warm corporate culture Raina had fostered. Warm was not the word I would have used. My path to that photo was not warm. It was lit by the humming fluorescent tubes of the Westvale Community College night campus. While Raina was hosting charity galas, I was highlighting textbooks on forensic accounting. While she was approving departmental budgets, I was passing the CFE exam. I didn't come straight to Hearthline. That would have been too obvious, too easy for her to control. I spent 3 years at Norcrest Dynamics, a third-party logistics provider that handled half of Hearthline's frozen distribution. I learned their systems. I learned their billing cycles. I learned where their data interfaced with my father's. I learned to read the digital receipts, the ghost trail of transactions that connects 2 massive systems. When I finally applied for the internal audit position at Hearthline, my resume was untouchable. I was overqualified. I was an asset. I was a Trojan horse. Raina threw me a welcome lunch in the executive dining room, just the 2 of us, overlooking the city from the 30th floor. The table was immaculate. The water glasses were thin, expensive crystal. She wore a cream-colored silk blouse that probably cost more than my first month's rent. "I'm so glad you're finally here, Ava," she said, her voice dripping with practiced sincerity. She leaned forward, a conspiratorial smile playing on her lips. "Your father is thrilled. You should be happy. We're a team now." I picked up my fork, studying its weight. Every team needs a scorekeeper. Raina, to make sure the game is fair. Her smile didn't falter, but her eyes went cold for half a second. It was the same look I saw in the dome light of Parker's truck, a flicker of assessment, a recalibration. She registered me not as a broken teenager, but as a component in her system. "Well," she said, lifting her glass, "welcome to the team." The team now included Sloane. Sloane is my half-sister. She's 19. She is Raina's masterpiece, the project she started fresh. Sloane is everything I wasn't allowed to be. She is polished, confident, and utterly protected. Raina has curated her life like a prize-winning orchid, the right prep school, the right internships, PR, of course, and a full scholarship to a private university. Raina didn't use a truck in a parking lot for Sloane. She used networking. She used mentorship. She used the corporate-sponsored scholarships that, as CPO, she helped oversee. Sloane's path was paved, sanded, and buffed. She's a lovely girl. She thinks her mother is a visionary. She thinks I'm the strange and quiet aunt who works with spreadsheets. Our family dinners are the centerpiece of the illusion. We have them every Sunday, in the sterile, white and gray dining room of my father's house, the house my mother decorated. The table is always groaning with perfection, towering arrangements of white lilies, Raina's signature flower, that pump a sickly, funereal perfume into the air. Framed copies of the Gazette articles praising Hearthline's community outreach, photos from the last Hearthline Heals charity gala, with Raina and my father smiling next to the mayor. And then there is the chair, my mother's chair. It sits at the end of the table. It's a beautiful cherry wood chair, slightly different from the others. After my mother died, no one sat in it. It was her space. Raina never removed it. That would have been too obvious, too cruel. Instead, she just absorbed it into her design. It's still there, empty, a silent, gaping hole in the middle of all the noise. My father never looks at it. Sloane thinks it's just an extra chair. But Raina and I, we both see it. It's a message. I'm still here. I've replaced her. I've erased her. And you can't do a thing about it. But she's wrong. You don't fight an image. You fight a system. Back in my office, away from the smell of lilies, my work begins, my real work. I'm not a hacker. I'm an auditor. I don't break down doors. I just use the keys I've been given. And as head of risk, I have keys to almost everything. I start small. I pull the digital signatures on every new hire's paperwork for the last 5 years. I cross-reference the timestamps on policy acknowledgments. I build a map, not of people, but of permissions. Who signed off on what? When? I'm not looking for the parking lot. That was 10 years ago. That was the motive. I'm looking for the pattern, the habit. People like Raina don't just commit one sin. They build a career on a foundation of small, acceptable compromises that slowly rot the entire structure. She knows I'm here. She feels me in the system. In the last 6 months, she's been busy. She initiated a company-wide migration to a new timekeeping software. The old one, the one used for the last 7 years, the logs are being archived, which means they're being buried in a digital tomb. 2 months ago, she terminated the contract with Hearthline's long-term compliance training vendor. She brought in a new one, a sleek, expensive startup that promises dynamic, culture-based learning. She's changing the locks. She's replacing the old carpet, thinking it will hide the stains underneath. She's trying to erase the past. I watch the migration alerts scroll across my screen. I watch the new vendor contract get routed for approval. I look at the new system. It's clean. It's state-of-the-art. And it's fully, beautifully, transparently auditable by me. She thinks she's covering her tracks, but what she's really doing is building a brand new, brightly lit highway right through the wilderness, connecting the old crime to the new ones. I lean back in my chair and allow myself a small, cold smile. "Thank you, Raina," I whisper to my monitor. "Thanks for clearing the audit trail." Raina's new compliance vendor is named Graybridge Learning. It's a clean name, anonymous. It sounds stable, expensive, and profoundly boring. It's the perfect corporate camouflage. She didn't just replace the old vendor. She initiated a full-spectrum cultural alignment partnership. The contract was signed 6 weeks ago. I start where I always start, in the public records. My screen is split. On one side, the Hearthline vendor portal. On the other, the Secretary of State database. Graybridge Learning, LLC, formed 18 months ago, registered agent, a corporate law firm downtown, a firewall, business address, a mailbox at a UPS store on the north side of town, a ghost. This is standard practice for shell companies. It's lazy. I switch to the vendor file. I pull the executed contract. I scroll to the signature block. Raina's approval is there. A clean, digitized CPO sign-off. The vendor signatory is listed as Elias Parker, Managing Director. My blood doesn't run cold. It stops. Elias. Mr. Parker, the man in the beige cardigan, the man who clicked unexcused absence and destroyed my life. For a full minute, I just stare at the name. The cursor blinks. Blink, blink. He didn't just disappear. She kept him. She put him on the payroll. The man who helped her fake a high school transcript is now in charge of teaching corporate ethics to 1,000 employees. The irony is so acidic it burns my throat. I close my eyes. Just for a second. I am not the girl behind the bleachers. I am the auditor. I take a sip of cold coffee. I open a new query. I focus on the contract itself. It's sloppy. For someone as meticulous as Raina, It's arrogant. It's a sole source procurement. Our corporate policy, the one I helped rewrite, mandates a minimum of 3 competitive bids for any service contract exceeding $50,000. This one is for $500,000, spread over 4 phases. Raina bypassed the request for proposal (RFP) process entirely. Her justification is attached in a 1-page memo, time-stamped on a Friday afternoon. Graybridge Learning offers a unique, proprietary methodology essential to our cultural transformation. Their ethos dynamic model is singular in the marketplace and cannot be matched by commodity vendors. Standard bidding protocols are inapplicable. It's nonsense, a cloud of corporate jargon to mask the transaction. I pull the pricing schedules. Phase 1, $75,000. Phase 2, $75,000. Phase 3, $125,000. Phase 4, $225,000. I run a quick market analysis. I pull the invoices from our previous vendor, a reputable national firm, and compare them to the current quotes from 2 other industry leaders. The math is chillingly precise. Graybridge Learning's rates are, on average, 37% higher than the most expensive competitor. Not 35%, not 40%, 37%. It's not an estimate, it's a calculation. It's the cost of the service plus the cost of the crime. I move from procurement to accounts payable. The first 2 invoices have already been paid. Phase 1 and Phase 2, $150,000. Gone. Payment is triggered by a service acceptance form submitted by the department head, in this case, HR. I need to see who signed off. I pull the 2 acceptance forms. They were submitted by 2 of Raina's key lieutenants, a director of employee engagement and a talent acquisition lead. Both were hired within the last 18 months. They are, in the parlance of the office, friends of Raina. They are her shadow staff, loyal to her, not to the company. I look at the digital fingerprints. This is where they always get sloppy. Service acceptance, invoice HLF GBL 001, submitted by HR Director 1. Timestamp, October 10th, 14:03:17 p.m. Service acceptance, invoice HLF GBL 002, submitted by HR Director 2. Timestamp, October 10th, 14:03:44 p.m. I pull the other 2 forms for the next phases. The ones that haven't been paid yet, they're already in the system, waiting for the invoice. Service acceptance, invoice HLF GBL 003, submitted by HR Director 1. Timestamp, October 10th, 14:03:22 p.m. Service acceptance, invoice HLF GBL 004, submitted by HR Director 2. Timestamp, October 10th, 14:03:51 p.m. 4 forms, 2 managers, totaling $500,000 in approvals, all signed, digitally, in a 34-second window. This isn't oversight. This is an auto-stamp. This is a coordinated, pre-planned execution of payment. They didn't read the forms. They didn't verify the ethos dynamic model was even delivered. They just clicked approve on command. This is the crack. Now the motive. Why would they? I open the payroll database. I query the employee IDs for HR Director 1 and HR Director 2. I filter by compensation adjustment, off cycle. And there it is. October 11th. The morning after the 34-second approval spree, both employees received a special merit increase of $15,000. The justification, personally signed by Raina, for outstanding performance and proactive implementation of cultural initiatives. It's a perfect closed loop. Raina hires Parker. Raina bypasses the bid process. Raina's staff auto-approves the invoices. Raina pays her staff for their silence with company money. Hearthline funds the entire conspiracy. I open a new file. Case ID, HLF Risk 110. I attach the contract, the sole source justification, the market analysis, the 4 acceptance forms with their metadata, and the payroll adjustment records. I draft the preliminary risk note. My fingers are cold, precise. I use only the language of the report. 2. Internal Audit Committee. Mara Ellison, General Counsel. From A. Calder, Head of Risk and Compliance. Subject: Red flag. Potential related party disguised vendor scheme. I list the findings. Non-compliant sole source procurement. Procurement Policy 4A. Vendor pricing anomaly, 37% above market. Irregular payment authorization, 4 forms, 34 seconds. Concurrent off-cycle compensation adjustments for authorizing personnel. Vendor, Graybridge Learning, identified as potential related party. I do not write Parker's name. I do not write Raina's. The data speaks for itself. I hit send. The silence in my office is absolute. The email is gone. The first shot has been fired. It takes 45 minutes. My desk phone rings, not my team's chat. The physical desk phone. It's her executive assistant. Her voice is crisp. Ms. Calder is available to see you now. Her office. Not a request, a summons. I pick up one file from my desk and walk to the 30th floor. The CPO suite is hushed. The carpet is so thick it absorbs all sound. The air is heavy with the scent of expensive candles, vanilla and sandalwood. It's designed to be calming. It's suffocating. Raina is not at her desk. She's sitting on a low white sofa, a porcelain teacup balanced on her knee. She smiles, and it's the exact same practiced, pitying smile she gave my father in the kitchen 10 years ago. Ava, come in. Close the door. I close the door. The latch clicks, sealing us in. You are certainly thorough, she begins, her voice a warm, syrupy honey. I saw your note to the committee. It's impressive, really, all those numbers. She takes a sip of tea. But Ava, you're overdoing it. You're reading spreadsheets. I'm building a culture. Sometimes, to get the right talent, you have to move quickly. Graybridge is the best in the business. We had to lock them in before a competitor did. You understand. She pats the cushion next to her. Sit. Let's talk about how we can redirect this energy. I don't sit. I walk past her, to the massive, sterile white slab of her desk. You're right, I say. Spreadsheets don't tell the whole story. I take the file from under my arm. It contains a single sheet of paper, enclosed in a heavy, transparent plastic exhibit sleeve. I slide it onto the white desk. It's not practice 17 on MP4. This is new. It's a high-resolution still, printed in color, a screen grab from the security feed in our corporate parking garage, level P4. The timestamp reads, last Tuesday, 21/17. The image shows the back of Raina's company-leased Tesla. The trunk is open. A man is standing beside it. He's older, softer, his hair thinning, but the weak chin, the nervous posture. It's unmistakably Elias Parker. He is handing Raina a thick white bank envelope. My blood is pumping hard now, a hot, steady drum. It's not just a payment to him, it's a kickback from him, the 37%. He's returning her share, in cash, in her own company's parking garage. The arrogance, the pattern, the night in the parking lot, over and over again. Raina stops smiling. The honey is gone. She sets the teacup down. It makes a sharp clack against the porcelain saucer. She stands up. The light from the floor-to-ceiling windows is behind her, plunging her face into shadow. Her silhouette is sharp, and it falls across the desk, cutting the photograph in two. She doesn't look at the image again. She looks only at me. Her hand goes to her hair. A quick, smoothing gesture. A tick. The first crack in the facade. You should remember, Ava, she says. Her voice is a blade. This is family. It's the threat, the one she's always used. You will hurt your father. You will destroy this house. I don't flinch. I do, I say, my voice as cold as the glass walls around us. That's precisely why I'm here, because it's family. The records need to be clean. I let the silence hang, let her stare at the proof. This, I say, tapping the plastic sleeve, is not clean. I turn and walk to the door. I don't look back. I don't wait for a reply. I walk directly to the elevator, down to the 28th floor, straight to my desk. My hands are steady. The adrenaline is gone, replaced by a cold, clear focus. I sit down. I open the legal console. I type the command. Initiate, legal hold and preserve order. Case ID, HLF Risk 110. Target, all mailboxes, cloud drives, physical drives, and archive data for R. Calder, HR Director 1, HR Director 2, Target, Vendor, Graybridge Learning, E. Parker. Scope, all communications, calendars, payment logs, and draft documents referencing Graybridge, Parker, Ethos Dynamic. Compliance, culture, action, immediate and total preservation, all deletion protocols suspended. I hit execute. A system-wide, automated email is instantly dispatched to General Counsel and the entire HR department. Effective immediately. You are hereby notified of a legal hold. You must preserve all electronic and physical records related to the matter designated HLF Risk 110. The trap is set. The logs are frozen. She cannot delete a single email. She cannot wipe a single chat. She is locked in the system. I lean back in my chair. The sandalwood scent from her office is still clinging to my suit. I look at the clock. The machine is running. I wait. The counterpunch lands at 9:04 a.m. It doesn't come from Raina. It comes, officially, from the Office of the General Counsel, forwarded on behalf of the Hearthline Ethics Committee. It's a PDF attachment, a formal complaint. My name is listed as the respondent. The complainants are the 3 HR employees who signed the Graybridge invoices, the 2 directors and 1 junior associate. The charge is workplace harassment via abuse of surveillance authority and creation of a hostile and intimidatory work environment. It's brilliant. It's a perfect legal shield. I am not an auditor uncovering fraud. I am a manager abusing her power. I am a predator. They are the victims. My phone rings. It's my father. I let it go to voicemail. By 10:02 a.m., the second wave hits. An anonymous email, sent from a Proton mail address, lands in the inbox of every executive, every VP, and every director at Hearthline Foods. Subject: the truth about the CPO's office. I read it, my stomach clenching. It's a masterpiece of corporate slander, wrapped in the language of a concerned whistleblower. Many of us are deeply troubled by Ava Calder's targeted campaign against her stepmother, Raina Calder. While we respect Ms. Calder's, Ava's, role in risk, her actions have crossed a line from professional to personal. She is using company resources to settle a family dispute. This is a classic case of a jealous daughter threatened by a successful stepmother. Raina has done nothing but build a warm, inclusive culture, and Ava is tearing it down out of spite. She wants Raina's job. She wants to hurt her father. The investigation into the HR department is a sham. It's a fishing expedition. Those of us who work with Raina know her integrity. We are now being intimidated, watched, and harassed by our own head of risk. How can we trust the system when the person running it is compromised? A concerned employee who believes in family. She did it. She took the narrative I'd spent 10 years trying to escape and made it the public story. I'm not an auditor. I'm just the hysterical girl in the kitchen, screaming about a video. I try to open the payroll database. I need to see if there were other special merit increases I missed. A gray box fills my screen. Access denied. Your permissions for this database have been revoked. A pop-up in my inbox from IT. It's automated. Per the request of the Hearthline Ethics Committee, your administrative access to all employee-facing sensitive data, payroll, HR-IS, communications archive, has been temporarily suspended pending the outcome of review ETH 240 to avoid any potential conflict of interest. My hands are cut off. She's quarantined me. She's defined me as the threat, the conflict of interest, the virus, and she's activated her independent ethics committee to hunt me, a committee of 3, all appointed by her last quarter. I'm in a glass box, and the walls are closing in. She thinks I'm stupid. She thinks I'm that same impulsive, emotional teenager. She thinks my first move was the only move. She's wrong. I didn't just send the risk note to the committee. The night before I ever confronted her in that sandalwood-scented office, I sat at this very desk until 2 a.m. I ran a full, deep-level data extraction. I pulled every contract she'd signed, every invoice approved by her department for 3 years, every vendor payment, every off-cycle salary bump, every email from her to Parker's ghost address. I pulled the metadata. I pulled the IP logs. I pulled the architectural map of her entire shadow operation. It took 4 hours for the query to run. I watched the progress bar crawl across the screen, a thin blue line of pure, undeniable fact. I compressed it into a single 12-gigabyte encrypted file. I sent it, via a secure file transfer protocol, to exactly one person, Mara Ellison, the General Counsel. Mara is not a culture person. Mara is a lawyer, a former federal prosecutor. She's been with Hearthline for 8 years. She is quiet, she is precise, and she reports not to my father, but to the board of directors. She is the only person in this building, besides me, who reads the fine print. And she is the only person who received the legal hold notification before Raina's cronies could file their complaint. She's had the data for 36 hours. I can't call her. My lines are compromised. I can't email her. I am the subject of an ethics investigation. I find her in the basement. The central records room is on level B2, behind a keycard access door. It's the one place in the building without cultural oversight. It's hot, dry, and smells like ozone from the industrial document scanners. The air is a constant, churning whir thump as the machines digitize 20 years of company history. Mara is standing by a row of gray metal shelves, a dusty banker's box in her hands. She's alone. She doesn't look up when I enter. "They've locked me out of the system," I say, my voice flat, cutting through the noise. "I saw the complaint," Mara replies. She doesn't stop reading the file label in her hand. "The 3 HR staffers, it's a well-written accusation. It's a lie. It's a procedure, Ava, and the committee is following it." She finally looks at me. Her eyes are dark, assessing. "Your data packet was excellent. The contract violations, the payment irregularities, the kickback structure. It's a solid case for financial misconduct, a multi-million-dollar problem." She pauses, sliding the box back onto the shelf. "But it's not a kill shot. It's fines. It's restitution. She'll blame the Friends of Raina. She'll fire them, apologize to the board, call it a learning experience, and survive. She's positioning this as a procedural failure, not a moral one." I reach into the pocket of my blazer. My fingers close around the small, cold square of plastic, the one I've carried with me every day since I confronted Raina. "This," I say, "is not procedural." I hold out the blue SanDisk SD card. Mara's eyes flick down to my hand. She doesn't ask what it is. She just pulls a small black USB-C card reader from her own pocket. She never goes anywhere unprepared. She balances her laptop on a stack of archive boxes, plugs in the reader, and inserts the card. The whir thump of the scanners fills the silence. She clicks on the single file, Practice 17 MP4. She doesn't use audio, she just watches. The grainy, dark footage, the yellow parking lot light, the fogged-up glass of the F-150, the muffled whump of the envelope, visible even in the low light. And then, the dome light, the door opening, Raina's face, 10 years younger, but absolutely, unmistakably her. Sharp, triumphant, emerging from the cab. Mara's eyes widen. It's a small, fractional change, the only sign of shock she allows. She plays it again, and a third time. She snaps the laptop shut. The sudden silence is more profound than the noise. "When?" she whispers. 10 years ago, Norcrest High. Mara processes this. Her legal mind is connecting the dots, building the timeline, seeing the pattern. "And in the truck?" she asks, her voice low. "Who was—" I let the question hang in the hot, dusty air. Elias Parker, the man she just gave a $500,000 ethics training contract to. I take a breath. And the woman the company has put in charge of its entire culture. Mara's face sets like concrete. This is no longer a financial crime. This is a pattern of conspiracy and corruption spanning a decade. This is foundational. She ejects the card reader and holds the SD card out to me. "No," I say. "You keep it. Chain of custody." Mara nods once. She understands. She pulls a sterile, plastic evidence bag from her briefcase, drops the card inside, and seals it. She initials the seal. "They've called a hearing for you," Mara says, her voice all business now. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., the Ethics Committee, they're going to put you on immediate administrative leave." "I know." "Don't go." She looks me dead in the eye, and for the first time, I see the prosecutor. "I'm escalating. Your data packet, the parking garage photo, and this is no longer an internal audit matter. This bypasses your father. This bypasses the internal committee." She slides the evidence bag into her briefcase and snaps it shut. "This is going directly to Elijah North, the chairman of the board, the independent directors." She straightens her blazer. "We are going to do this by the book. Ava, no noise, no leaks." She pauses, and a ghost of a smile touches her lips. "No hysterics. This is not a family drama. This is a total failure of corporate governance, and we are going to fix it." Mara walks out. The heavy door hisses shut, and I'm alone in the heat and the noise. The walls are still there, but they're not a cage anymore. They're a fortress. I pull out my phone and open a new note. I type 3 words: a promise, a strategy. In public. But by the book, the 10 a.m. Ethics Committee hearing comes and goes. I am a no-show. My corporate access is dead. My desk phone rings, unanswered. I am, for all official purposes, a rogue employee under investigation, on the brink of being fired for cause. But I'm not at home. I am in Mara Ellison's war room. It's a temporary office on the 32nd floor, reserved for visiting counsel. It has no name on the door. The blinds are drawn. The air smells like new carpet and the sharp, hot plastic of a high-speed printer. It is just me, Mara, and 2 external forensic accountants she has retained. My 12-gigabyte data packet is projected onto a massive smart screen. This is where we stop being a target. This is where we build the chain. "We start at the beginning," Mara says. Her voice is a low, flat command. Not the Graybridge contract, the motive. The first puzzle piece isn't a spreadsheet. It's the SD card, now labeled Exhibit A. 10 years ago, Mara states, she holds up a printed document. My $200 public records request, fulfilled by the Westvale Unified School District. It's the server log for the student record system, isolated to my student ID, for the 48-hour period in question. Click, the first link clicks into place. On the screen, 2 lines of text, stark and undeniable. Line 1, timestamp, 2015-04-14, 22-17-03. Event, file, create, user, UNA youth, file, practiced 17.mp4. The moment I hit record. Line 2, timestamp, 2015-04-15, 08-52-11. Event, record access, user, E. Parker, target, 994. Calder. The morning after. Line 3. Timestamp, 2015-04-15, 08-53-02. Event, manual override, user, E. Parker, target, 994. Calder. A. Field, conduct GPA, value, 4.0, 3.7. The origin, Mara says. The night of the truck. The morning of the fraud. This isn't a family dispute. This is the first transaction. It establishes a decade-long pattern of leverage and collusion. Now the present. He's not just her vendor, I say, taking over. He's her partner. We move to the Graybridge contract. Raina's digital calendar is locked down. One of the accountants, a thin man named Sal, says, but her corporate card and travel authorizations aren't. Click. The second link. A new spreadsheet populates the screen. Column A. Raina's T&E submissions. Column B. Parker's Graybridge invoice dates. The pattern is instant, a poison rhythm. June 10. Parker, Graybridge. Submits invoice HLF GBL 001 for $75,000. June 11th. The invoice is approved by HR Director 1, 14:03:17 p.m. June 12th. Raina, CPO, boards a flight to Chicago. Purpose: off-site culture workshop. August 5th. Parker Graybridge submits invoice HLF GBL 002 for $75,000. August 6th. The invoice is approved by HR Director 2, 14:03:44 p.m. August 7th. Raina, CPO, boards a flight to Denver. Purpose: leadership retreat. Keynote. They aren't just passing envelopes in our garage. They are meeting out of state, laundering the fraudulent contract fees through her travel budget. But how does the money get back to her? Mara asks, pacing. The kickback. He pays for the trips, I say, the realization hitting me like cold water. She's double dipping. She gets the free trip, and then she expenses it to Hearthline and pockets the cash. Sal's fingers fly across the keyboard, pulling the Denver itemization. Click. The third link. The hotel receipt from her Denver trip appears. Hotel Grandis, Executive Suite, $144.50. Expense code, Team Wellness. Paid, as all T&E is, by Hearthline. Now, Sal says, we run a public credit database query for Elias Parker. A new window opens. Elias Parker. Visa signature. Transaction date, August 7th. Merchant. Hotel Grandis. Amount, $1,704.50. Mara stops pacing. He paid for her room on his personal card. She submitted the receipt as her own expense. Hearthline reimbursed her. It's wire fraud. It's money laundering. The 37% overcharge. It wasn't just his profit. It was the slush fund. We have the money, I say, but we need them in the same room. We need to pierce the consultant veil. The Graybridge Learning website is generic. Stock photos of smiling, diverse employees. But Parker, in his infinite arrogance, also has a personal LinkedIn profile. He's a thought leader. We scan his feed. Click. The fourth link. A photo, Parker, smiling his weak, beige smile. He's in a hotel ballroom, holding a cheap glass trophy. The caption, so honored to receive the Innovator in Ethics Award at the Stonebrook Resort Wellness Summit. The summit he billed to Hearthline as Phase 3. The photo is blurry, badly lit. It's useless, Mara says. No, I say. My heart is hammering. Zoom in, on his glasses. Sal isolates the right lens of Parker's aviator glasses. He runs an enhancement filter. The pixels sharpen, resolving. There, in the curved, distorted reflection, is the ballroom. And standing across from him, holding the smartphone to take the picture, is a woman. Her hair is pulled back in a sharp, familiar chignon. She is wearing a cream-colored silk blouse. Raina. Got her, Sal whispers. In the room, at the event, taking the picture. The metadata on the original image, scraped from the web cache, confirms the date, August 8th, the day after the Hotel Grandis transaction. That's the case, Mara says, but there's one piece left. The HR staff, I say, the ones who filed the complaint against me. Mara allows herself a small, dangerous smile. They're no longer complainants. They are witnesses. While I was locked out, Mara was working. She had used her authority as general counsel to interview the two directors who signed the 34-second approvals. She holds up 2 signed affidavits. Click, the 5th link. The moment I showed them the payroll logs for their $15,000 merit bonuses, cross-referenced with the invoice timestamps, they folded, Mara says. They confessed. Raina told them the Graybridge contract was a special CPO priority. She instructed them to approve all 4 phases at once, for efficiency. The bonuses were for their loyalty. They thought they were just helping their boss. They didn't know it was a multi-million-dollar fraud. Now, they're terrified. They will testify against her in exchange for a recommendation of leniency to the board. Mara turns to the whiteboard. She uncaps a black marker. Click, she writes. 1. Conspiracy to defraud. 10-year timeline. Click, she writes. 2. Bribery and kickbacks. Parker to Raina, Raina to HR. Click, she writes. 3. Conflict of interest. Undisclosed relationship with vendor. Click, she writes. 4. Contract and wire fraud. 37% overcharge. Fraudulent T&E. The puzzle is complete. It's not an accusation. It's an ironclad, multi-million-dollar conclusion. I spend the next hour typing. I assemble the final report. I name it. Case file. Calder Ethics 110. I package the affidavits, the timelines, the server logs, the metadata analysis, the bank records, and the 2 videos, Practice 17.mp4 and the new garage footage. I encrypt it. Mara takes the file. It's time, she says. She doesn't call my father. He is compromised. He is the husband. He is the president. But he is not the authority. She calls Elijah North. Elijah North is the lead independent director of the board. He's former SEC. He's 70 years old, built like a retired linebacker, and he does not tolerate ambiguity. He is the only person on the board my father truly answers to. Mara sets a special emergency session of the independent directors, not at Grayford Tower, at the neutral offices of her old law firm, downtown. They meet for 4 hours. I am not invited. I just wait in the war room, the hum of the printer the only sound. The call comes from Mara at 8 p.m. Her voice is calm, but I can hear the steel in it. The board is secured. They are appalled. Elijah is taking the lead. The trap is set. What's next? We set the stage. The next morning, Raina receives an email. My 10 a.m. ethics hearing is officially canceled. Instead, a new, mandatory meeting appears on her calendar for 2 p.m. Subject: Performance Culture Review. Priority: Highest. Attendees: Elijah North, Chair. Independent Directors: 3. Dean Calder, President. Mara Ellison, General Counsel. Ava Calder, Head of Risk. Location: Grayford Boardroom, 28F. It's the perfect trap. She thinks this is her victory lap. She thinks the concerned employee email worked. She thinks she's coming to watch the board finalize my termination. She thinks I am the subject of the performance review. She has no idea that she is. I spend the rest of the night alone in the war room. I open PowerPoint. I build the presentation. I don't use the affidavits. I don't use the high school video. Not yet. My slides are a cold scalpel. Slide 1. A simple timeline. 2015. E. Parker. R. Calder. Norcrest High. 2025. E. Parker. R. Calder. Hearthline Foods. Slide 2. The contract. Sole source justification. Bypass. Versus procurement policy. A. Violation. Slide 3. The 34-second approval. 4 timestamps, side by side, in bright red. Slide 4. The money. A flowchart. Hearthline. 37%. Overcharge. Graybridge. Parker. Visa. Hotel Grandis. R. Calder. T&E. Reimbursement. Slide 5. The reflection. The cropped, enhanced image from Parker's glasses. Few words, no emotion, just the logs, just the receipts, just the truth. I save the file. Final, GTX. I look out the window. The city is black and sharp. I am ready. The boardroom on the 28th floor is a cube of glass. Suspended over the city, it's 2 in the afternoon. Outside, a fine, cold mist clings to the windows, blurring the skyline into a gray watercolor. The air is still, heavy, and pressurized. The obsidian table is so polished it reflects the flat, white light of the ceiling panels. It reflects the faces of the 3 independent directors, their expressions like stone. It reflects Elijah North, the chairman, at the head of the table. It reflects my father, Dean Calder, sitting to Elijah's right, his jaw tight. It reflects Mara Ellison, who sits beside me, a single, thin file in front of her. It reflects me, my hands clasped on the table. And it reflects Raina. She sits opposite me, radiating a calm, executive confidence. She is wearing her armor, a sharp, white pantsuit. She believes, with absolute certainty, that she is here to witness my execution. She smiles at me, a quick, sad flick of the lips, the poor, troubled girl. The door hisses open. A junior associate ushers in the final guest, Elias Parker. He enters the room like a nervous student. He's in his only suit, a size too large, and he's clutching a laptop bag and a USB drive. He thinks he's here to present his ethos dynamic model to the board. He looks at Raina, who gives him a tiny, encouraging nod. He takes a seat at the far end of the table. Isolated, he is a liability, and she has kept him separate. He is the lamb, and he's just walked into the slaughterhouse. Elijah North does not waste time. His voice is a low rumble, like distant thunder. Thank you all for attending this special session. We are here to address a critical review of this company's performance and culture, stemming from allegations raised by the Risk Department and a counter-complaint of harassment from Human Resources. Raina doesn't wait to be called on. She leans forward, her voice a perfect modulation of concern and strength. Elijah, thank you, and I am so relieved we are finally having this conversation. She looks around the table, making eye contact with each director. I am, as you know, deeply concerned about our culture, but my concern today is about a new culture, a culture of fear. She gestures to me, not with malice, but with a calculated sadness. Ava's actions have created a hostile environment. Her department is being used as a weapon. Her obsessive surveillance, her baseless accusations against my top staff. It's a personal vendetta, and it is creating terror. People are afraid to do their jobs. It is disruptive. It is unprofessional. My father shifts, readying himself to support her, but Elijah holds up a large, stilling hand. Ms. Calder, he says, his gaze locking on me. Ava, the board has seen the complaint against you. We are also in receipt of your case file, 110. Raina's smile doesn't falter, but a flicker of confusion enters her eyes. Elijah continues. You have made a series of claims that are significant. The floor is yours. Thank you, Mr. North, I say. My voice is flat. It doesn't echo in the sound-dampened room. I'll need 12 minutes. I stand. I walk to the head of the table and plug my laptop into the primary monitor. The 80-inch screen at the end of the room flickers, then illuminates. The title slide reads, Performance Culture Review. Raina leans back, a small, satisfied smirk playing on her lips. She thinks this is about my performance. My review, I begin, focuses on a single, high-risk vendor relationship, Graybridge Learning. Parker perks up, a proud, nervous expression on his face. I click, the title slide disappears. Slide 1, The Flow of Funds. A flowchart appears, simple, brutal. Hearthline Foods, CPO approval. Graybridge Learning, 37% price inflation. E. Parker, Visa signature. Hotel Grandis, Denver, Suite 812. R. Calder, fraudulent T&E. R. Calder, cash. There is a sharp intake of breath from a director. My father leans forward. his eyes narrowing at the screen. Raina's hand, which was lifting a crystal glass of water, freezes. This demonstrates a consistent 9-month pattern of wire fraud, kickbacks, and money laundering. I state, the 37% overcharge was not a fee, it was a slush fund. Raina finds her voice. That is a grotesque misinterpretation of T&E data. My travel is... I click again. Slide 2. The mechanism of approval. On the left, the 4 timestamps. 14:03:17 p.m. Invoice 001. 14:03:22 p.m. Invoice 03. 14:03:44 p.m. Invoice 02. 14:03:51 p.m. Invoice 004. 4 separate invoices, totaling $500,000, approved in 34 seconds. On the right, digital signature log, root credential, trace. Our forensic audit, which Mara can confirm, traces the IP address for all 4 of these independent approvals. They were not made from the HR director's desks. They were batch executed from a single terminal, 10.1.0.10, the executive workstation in the CPO's office, using root credentials. Raina's face is now white. Chalk. My staff. They have access. They do not, Mara cuts in, her voice like ice. Have access to your root kernel key, which was used to bypass the 2-factor authentication. We have the affidavits from both directors, who have confessed they were ordered by you to pre-approve the work and were rewarded with $15,000 bonuses for their loyalty. They are prepared to testify to that effect. Parker is now visibly sweating. He's pulling at his collar. He's looking at Raina. This is... Raina starts. This is thin. It's conjecture. I click again. Slide 3. The partnership. The image from Stonebrook Resort. Parker, smiling, holding his cheap glass ethics award. A vendor event, Raina says quickly, relief in her voice. I was there as the CPO, vetting his work. It's called oversight. I click. The screen zooms in, pixelating and then resolving. The reflection in the right lens of Parker's glasses, Raina, her hair in a chignon, her hand holding the smartphone, her cream-colored blouse. The room is dead silent. The only sound is the hiss of the ventilation system. A whisper breaks out between 2 directors. The sound seems to bounce off the glass walls, amplified. This confirms the undisclosed, decade-long personal relationship between the chief people officer and the sole source vendor. I say, at an event he billed us for, at the hotel he paid for, which she then expensed back to Hearthline. Parker makes a small, choking sound. He's looking at Raina, his eyes wide with betrayal. He's just realized he's not the consultant. He's the evidence. And it is this decade-long pattern, I say, my voice dropping, that I wish to address. I look at my father. This isn't a new strategy. It is the foundation of Mrs. Calder's career. It is, in fact, how it began. Raina's eyes narrow to slits. What did you say? The board was curious, Mara interjects. Why Mr. Parker, a man with no corporate experience, was chosen. We discovered the relationship began 10 years ago, when Mrs. Calder was an image consultant, and Mr. Parker was a high school guidance counselor. My father's blood drains from his face. He knows. He knows what's coming. I click the remote. The 80-inch screen goes black. The boardroom is suddenly reflected in the dark glass. I can see Raina's reflection, watching her younger self. I can see my father's reflection, a pale, horrified ghost. This is Exhibit A, I say. Case file practice, W17 Doin MP4, recovered from a secure archive. The audio is low, but you will hear what you need to. I hit play. The grainy, dark footage fills the room. The weak yellow light of the Norcrest High parking lot, the fogged-up glass of the F-150. And the sound? The whump of the envelope hitting the dash, clearly audible through the high-sensitivity microphone. The muffled, indistinct baritone of Parker, the sharp, clear reply of Raina. And then, the dome light. The passenger door opens. Raina's face, 10 years younger but absolutely, unmistakably her, sharp and triumphant, fills the screen. The clip ends, the screen goes black again, returning the room to its own reflection. Every eye in the room swivels from the screen, not to me, not to Raina, to Elias Parker. He is shaking. His face is the color of wet cement. He half rises from his chair, his hands fumbling on the table. I, he stammers. I didn't. She said it was for the students. A donation. For the scholarship fund. That's what the envelope was for. His voice cracks, rising into a pathetic whine. And then for the approvals. She said it was just helping the company. Just standard procedure. I just signed what she told me. He has confessed, in front of the entire board. Raina slams her hands on the table and stands. The chair screeches back, a violent, ugly sound in the silence. "This is an ambush," she yells. Her voice is no longer silk. It is high and brittle. That clip? That thing? It's 10 years old. It's fabricated. It's a deepfake. It could be anyone. She points a shaking finger at me. She did this. That girl has hated me since I married her father. This is a vendetta. This is slander. This is not evidence. It's family drama. Mara Ellison stands. She holds a single, notarized sheet of paper. "Mrs. Sir," Mara says, her voice cutting through Raina's tirade. "The original SanDisk SD card was placed in my custody 2 days ago. We ran a full digital forensic analysis. I have the certified report here." She reads, "Original file metadata. Practice 17.mp4. Creation date, April 14, 2015, 22/17/03. Camera model, Sony HVR Z1U. Serial number 88409. Checksum hash, SHA 256 3A C9 B4. She looks up at Raina, her eyes devoid of all emotion. The file is pristine. It has not been altered, edited, or rewritten since the moment it was recorded 10 years ago. It is authentic. It is admissible. The silence in the room is absolute. It is the silence of a vacuum. Raina stares at Mara, her mouth slightly open. The culture mask has melted. All that's left is the raw, exposed wiring of her panic. Elijah North leans forward. His reflection joins the others on the dark table. His voice is quiet, but it carries the weight of a gavel. "Mrs. Calder," he says, "the board has reviewed this evidence. We have reviewed the sworn affidavits from your staff. We have reviewed the complete financial audit and the chain of custody for all exhibits." He pauses, a moment of devastating, theatrical quiet. "Before we continue this meeting, would you like to retain private counsel? This is it, the legal checkmate, the kill shot." Raina just stares at him, speechless. Her gaze darts around the room, looking for an ally, for a lifeline. Her eyes land on my father. "Dean," she whispers. Her voice is desperate. "Dean, tell them this is a lie. Tell them what she's like. Dean, say something." I look at my father. He is watching me, not Raina, me. His face is a ruin. It is the face of a man who has just seen the ghost he was told was imaginary. The lie he chose to believe, the lie he sacrificed his daughter for, has just been publicly executed. He sees the girl behind the bleachers. He sees the waitress at the diner. He sees the auditor in the boardroom. He opens his mouth, and for the first time in 10 years, he does not speak. He says nothing. He just turns his gaze from his wife, back to me. He doesn't defend her. He doesn't save her. He just watches. And in his silence, Raina's entire world ends. The silence in the room is heavy, suffocating. Raina is cornered. My father's silence is her conviction. The directors are looking at Elijah, waiting for the axe to fall. But Raina isn't finished. She hasn't built an empire on charm alone. She built it on leverage, on an absolute refusal to lose. She's shaking, but not with fear. It's rage. She looks past me, past my father, to Elijah North. Elijah, she says, her voice dangerously calm. You are all making a terrible mistake. You are taking the word of a deeply compromised employee, a woman who is, at this very moment, actively blackmailing this company. A new energy enters the room, a twist. Mara tenses beside me. What are you talking about? Mrs. Calder? Elijah says, his voice flat. I had hoped not to show you this, Raina says. She pulls her own phone from her pocket. But this investigation, it was never about ethics. It was about extortion. She taps her screen and forwards an email to every board member in the room. Their tablets chime, one by one. This, she announces, is an email I received at 5:02 a.m. today from Ava. My blood turns to ice. I didn't send her an email. Elijah reads the email aloud from his screen, his voice grim. Subject: A path forward. Raina, the evidence I have is definitive. The board will see it. But it doesn't have to be this way. My father, this company, doesn't need this kind of public stain. I am willing to classify the Graybridge matter as a simple vendor non-compliance and bury the rest, in exchange for two things. First, your immediate resignation, citing personal reasons. Second, a transfer of $5 million in vested stock options to a private holding company of my choice. Consider it a severance package. For me, for the last 10 years. You have until 2 p.m. The room is silent. It is a perfect, damning confession. It frames me as a blackmailer, a vengeful, greedy daughter. It nullifies everything, the data, the video. It all becomes just leverage for a shakedown. My father looks at me, his face shattered with a new, deeper wave of disbelief. Ava, he whispers, you did this? No, I say, my voice cold. But my heart is a trapped bird. I never wrote that. I never sent that. That is a fabrication. It came from her corporate email address. Elijah. Raina's voice is triumphant. She is winning. It's on your servers. Check the logs. She's a blackmailer. This entire boardroom meeting is a failed extortion attempt. She's unwell. Elijah looks at me. The trust is gone. The entire case is poisoned. Ava. This is the punch I didn't see coming. She knew she couldn't erase the evidence, so she poisoned the investigator. I take a breath. My hands are shaking. I force them still. Mara, I say, my voice low. Did we prep the contingency? Yes, Mara says, her own face pale. She was just as blindsided. On standby. Mr. North, I say, standing. That email is fraudulent, and I can prove it. The when doesn't matter. What matters is the where. I'd like to invite Mr. Sal Ibrahim, our head of digital forensics, to join this call. He's been on standby. Raina's face tightens. This is a move she didn't anticipate. Mara taps her tablet. A moment later, Sal's face appears on the 80-inch screen, live from the war room. Mr. Ibrahim, Mara says, you have the email in question, forwarded by Mr. North? I do, Miss Ellison, Sal says. I've been tracing it for the last 10 minutes. And? The email is a spoof, Sal says. Well, partially. The header is forged to look like it came from Ms. Calder's, Ava's, workstation. But the routing metadata tells the truth. It wasn't sent from her machine, or her phone, or anywhere in this building. Where did it come from? Elijah rumbles. Sal displays his screen, a string of text. It was sent at 5:02 a.m. via an anonymized web portal. The origin IP address, once we peeled back the proxy, is a residential guest Wi-Fi network. The network is registered to a townhouse at 445 Edgemont Drive, Westvale. I look at my father. His face is blank with confusion. He doesn't understand, but Raina does. Her eyes are wide with a new, animal panic. 445 Edgemont Drive, I say, my voice echoing in the dead silence. That's Sloane's off-campus apartment. My sister's. The final twist, the real one. Raina is on her feet. No, that's impossible. Sloane wouldn't. This is another trick. Elijah, my father says, his voice a broken rasp. No, not Sloane. She's a child. This is not possible. Mr. North, I say, please have security bring Sloane Calder to this room, now. You can't, Raina shrieks. She's a minor in this. She's my daughter. You can't involve her. You involved her, I say, my voice like a razor. When you told her to send that email. Elijah nods to Mara. Mara speaks into her phone. Send the car, and bring her up. The next 10 minutes are the longest of my life. The boardroom is a tomb. No one speaks. Parker sits, frozen, a casualty of a war he doesn't understand. My father stares at the polished obsidian table, at his own distorted reflection. Raina stands by the window, her back to us, her arms crossed, a rigid statue of fury. The door hisses open. Sloane stands there, flanked by a quiet security guard. She's in her university sweatshirt, her hair in a messy bun. She looks confused, terrified. She sees the board. She sees my father. And then she sees her mother. Mom, she whispers. What's going on? These men. They said it was an emergency. Sloane, Elijah says, his voice gentle but firm. Please, have a seat. We need to ask you a question, a very serious one. Sloane sits, perching on the edge of a chair. She looks at me, her eyes wide with a dawning horror. Sloane, Mara says, we have traced a fraudulent email, sent at 5:02 this morning, to your personal IP address. It was an email designed to look like it came from your sister, Ava. It contained a blackmail threat. We need to know. Did you send that email? Sloane's face crumples. She's 19. She's a child. She's a prop in her mother's game. She looks at Raina. Mommy? Raina turns from the window. Her face is a mask of pure, cold fire. Sloane, darling, these people are confused. You were sleeping. Tell them. You were sleeping. Sloane, I say, my voice quiet, cutting through Raina's. Don't look at her. Look at me. Did you send it? Sloane's breath hitches. The tears start. They spill, hot and fast. She told me to, she sobs, pointing at Raina. She said you were trying to destroy the family. She said you were trying to get Dad fired. She typed it, on her phone. She just told me to log in and hit send from my apartment. She said it was the only way to protect us, to protect the family. The confession hangs in the air, devastating, total. Raina doesn't look at Sloane. She doesn't look at anyone. She just stares at the glass wall. Then, she walks to her daughter. She kneels by her chair, her back to all of us. She smooths Sloane's hair. It's okay, baby, Raina whispers, her voice a low, venomous hiss, meant only for Sloane, but audible in the crushing silence. It's okay. Mommy's fixing this. This is the moral choice. This is the moment. Raina is going to sacrifice her own daughter. She will claim Sloane is a confused, hysterical girl. She will paint her as a troubled child who acted alone, trying to help her mother. She will throw her own child into the fire to save herself. I see it all play out. Sloane, destroyed. My father, doubly broken. And Raina, surviving, wounded, but surviving. I make my choice. I stand up. I walk to the table and place a single, thin file in front of Sloane. She flinches. That's not a lawsuit. Sloane, I say, my voice gentle. She looks at me, her face a mess of tears and mascara. Raina, Mara says, her voice like a judge's. You have just been witness tampering with a key witness in a board investigation. Sloane, your mother has put you in a position of extreme legal jeopardy. You have just confessed to conspiracy, wire fraud, and fabricating evidence. Sloane lets out a small, terrified wail. But, I say, we anticipated this exact scenario. I tap the file. That is a pre-negotiated agreement. It's a conditional non-prosecution and immunity deal. It's not from Hearthline. It's from the district attorney's office, who Mara has kept apprised of this case as of 6 a.m. today. Raina spins around. Her face is no longer white. It is a deep, mottled red. You... what? The agreement, Sloane, I continue, says that in exchange for your full, truthful, and immediate cooperation, in exchange for your sworn testimony against your mother, you will face no charges. You will be treated as a witness, a victim, not a participant, but you have to sign it, right now. Sloane stares at the paper as if it's a bomb. Don't you dare, Sloane, Raina screams. Don't you sign anything. Sloane is trembling, caught between two impossible choices, her mother or her future. She looks at Raina, her eyes full of a daughter's terror. Then she looks at me. She's looking for a way out. I just nod. Once, use it, get clean. Sloane picks up the pen. Her hand is shaking so hard she can barely hold it. I'm sorry, she whispers, looking at me. I'm so sorry. Ava. She signs her name. Elijah North stands. The meeting is over. Mrs. Calder, he says, you are hereby suspended from your position as Chief People Officer, effective immediately. All access, all privileges, revoked. Mr. Parker, you are terminated, and your contract with Greybridge Learning is frozen. Security will escort you both from the building. He looks at Mara. Release the full file. Calder Ethics 110. To the SEC, the IRS, and the DA, we are cooperating fully as of now. No! Raina lunges. Not at me. At the table. You can't. Dean, don't let them do this. It's our company. It's our family. My father stands up. His chair makes a soft, sliding sound on the carpet. He looks old. He looks empty. I need 15 minutes, he says to Elijah. His voice is a dry rasp. He turns. He walks to the door. He doesn't look back at Raina. He doesn't say her name. He just walks out, a broken man. The door hisses shut. Security steps in. Sloane is still crying, clutching the immunity agreement. Raina is staring at the door her husband just walked through. Her face is a blank, terrible ruin. I stand there, my hands on the cold, glass table. My heart is a heavy, hollow drum. It's done. The revenge is complete. The boardroom is broken. The family is shattered. But it's not finished. I look at the directors. I look at Mara. I know the last step isn't here. It's not in a courtroom. It's not in a press release. The final act has to be in public. Not the public, our public, the company, the employees, the people she built her culture on. They have to see the rot for themselves. The email drops at 3:17 p.m. Subject: Mandatory all-hands town hall. Time: 3:30 p.m. Location: Grayford Atrium and internal live stream. 15 minutes. Panic rips through the company. 15-minute notice for a mandatory all-hands means one of two things: a catastrophic failure or a massive acquisition. The internal chat channels ignite with speculation. Is it a data breach? Are we being sold? Did the earnings leak? At 3:29 p.m., the atrium is a sea of anxious faces. Hundreds of employees have poured out of their cubes, lining the glass balconies that circle the vast, 20-story open space. Thousands more are logged into the live stream, their names populating the viewer list in a frantic, scrolling column. A single podium is on the main floor. Behind it, a massive digital screen, the one that usually shows company announcements and stock photos of smiling families. Today, it is just a plain blue Hearthline Foods logo. At 3:30 p.m., on the dot, Elijah North walks to the podium. He is not followed by my father. He is flanked by Mara Ellison. The chatter in the atrium dies. The live stream chat freezes mid-sentence. The entire company holds its breath. Elijah North, the lead independent director, does not do town halls. Elijah grips the sides of the podium. His voice is amplified by the microphone, a deep, resonant bass that fills every corner of the vast space. It is the voice of pure, unshakable authority. "Good afternoon," he begins. "We have called this meeting to address a matter of the most profound importance to the integrity and future of this company. For the past several years, our CPO has spoken a great deal about culture. Today we are going to talk about culture, but we are going to do it with facts, not with slogans." A collective, audible gasp, a ripple of shock. He said it, the CPO. "The board of directors," Elijah continues, his voice unchanged, "has concluded an emergency investigation into a systemic failure of our governance, our procurement, and our ethical code." He gestures to Mara. "Our general counsel, Ms. Ellison, will provide a brief, factual summary of the findings. Ms. Ellison." Mara steps forward. She is the opposite of Raina. She is not warm. She is not charismatic. She is a razor. She holds a single sheet of paper. "This afternoon," Mara says, her voice cutting, precise, "the board of directors voted unanimously to suspend Raina Calder from her position as chief people officer, effective immediately." The atrium explodes, a roar of shock, of whispers, of, "What did she say?" Elijah holds up his hand. Silence, again. "The investigation," Mara continues, "confirmed a multi-year, multi-million-dollar conspiracy to defraud this company. This involved a pattern of gross misconduct, including but not limited to 1. The deliberate and systemic bypassing of all competitive bidding protocols to award a sole source, $500,000 contract to an unqualified related party vendor. She does not say Parker. She does not say Lover. She says related party vendor. 2. The authorization of fraudulent invoices, with pricing inflated by 37%, resulting in a direct financial loss to Hearthline Foods. 3. The creation of a kickback scheme, wherein company funds were laundered through fraudulent travel and expense reimbursements. 4. The direct and willful interference with personnel, including the pressuring of subordinate staff to falsify approvals, and the subsequent rewarding of that action with unauthorized, off-cycle compensation. She is reading the obituary of Raina's career, and she is using the precise language of the criminal code. She is draining all the family drama from it. She is leaving only the cold, hard, undeniable crimes. "This is not," Mara says, her eyes sweeping the crowd, "a personal dispute. This is not a procedural error. This was a deliberate, sophisticated, and sustained pattern of fraud. As of 3:00 p.m., our complete findings, case file, Calder Ethics 110, have been turned over to the Securities and Exchange Commission, the IRS, and the District Attorney's Office. We are cooperating fully." The crowd is stunned, silent, terrified. They have just been told their culture was a crime scene. They are looking for a hero or a villain. They are looking for a story. "To address the question of what now," Elijah says, his voice softening just a fraction, "I am handing the podium to the person who uncovered this, the head of our Risk and Compliance Department, Ava Calder." A new wave of whispers. Ava? Her daughter? The one? The concerned employee email, the gossip, the rumors. I feel 1,000 pairs of eyes on me, both in the room and through the digital ether of the live stream. I walk to the podium. The light is hot. I can see the faces on the first 3 balconies, pale and upturned. I can see the camera lens, a dark, unblinking eye. I am not the girl behind the bleachers. I am not the daughter. I am not the victim. I am the system. "I will be brief," I say. My voice is steady. It doesn't shake. "For 60 seconds. What you have just heard is a failure of trust. And when trust fails, the system must act. My department, Risk and Compliance, is not here to create fear. It is not here to punish." I look directly into the camera, at the thousands of employees watching. Risk and compliance exists for one reason: to protect the good people at this company who are doing the right thing. It is a shield. It is a firewall that ensures your work, your integrity, and your careers are not compromised by the bad actions of a few. I click the remote in my hand. The screen behind me changes. I do not show practice number 17 on MP4. I do not show the parking garage. I do not show Raina's face, or Parker's. To do so would be to make it personal, to make it my revenge. This is not revenge. This is a reset. Instead, the screen displays a single massive image. The 4 digital approval stamps, the 4 timestamps, 14:03:17 p.m., 14:03:22 p.m., 14:03:44 p.m., 14:03:51 p.m. This is what a failure of culture looks like, I say, gesturing to the screen. Not in a speech, but in a log file. These 4 clicks, executed in 34 seconds, were a $500,000 betrayal. They were a signature on a lie. They put every one of us at risk. Our job is to make sure this can never happen again. I look down at the front row. The 2 HR directors who signed the forms are there. They are pale, their hands clenched. They asked to be here. One of them, the younger one, stands up. Her voice is shaking. "Ms. Calder?" I nod. "Go ahead." She takes the small microphone offered by an AV tech. Her voice echoes, small and human, in the giant space. I'm one of the people who clicked that button," she says. The crowd murmurs. I was told it was a priority. I was told to be a team player. I was told I was helping. And then I got that bonus. And I knew it was wrong. But I was scared. I was scared of the CPO's office. She looks at me, her eyes wet. I am so sorry. To all of you, I am sorry. We were pressured, and we failed to be brave. We will cooperate. We are sorry. She sits down, covering her face. The atrium is dead silent. The confession, the apology. It is a raw, human moment that cuts through the corporate jargon. A single person, on the 3rd balcony, starts to clap. It's a slow, steady, defiant sound. Then another joins, and another. It's not for me. It's not for Mara. It's for the woman who just told the truth. It's for the confession. Within 10 seconds, the atrium is filled with applause. It's not a polite, corporate clap. It's a roar. It's a wave of catharsis. It is the sound of 1,000 people, all breathing out at the same time. The camera, operated by a freelancer, does something brilliant. It pans, slowly, across the cheering crowd, and then it moves to the executive section. It passes my father's empty chair, and then it lingers. For 3 devastating seconds, on the other empty chair, the one reserved for the CPO. Raina is not here. The concerned employee is not here. The culture she built is gone, and all that's left is an empty seat, a void. The camera has just told the entire story without a single word. The applause dies down. I step back to the podium. I wait. The system, I say, is only as strong as the people who defend it. This was a failure of leadership, not of personnel. I lean into the microphone for my final words. My team will be holding open audit sessions for all vendor contracts. Starting tomorrow, we will be transparent. We will be thorough. And from now on, our vendors are clean, or they're gone. I nod to Elijah. He steps forward. This town hall is concluded. The live stream feed cuts to black. The atrium begins to buzz, to move, to exhale. My phone, which I'd left on my desk, is visible on my locked screen. The internal chat preview is exploding. It's not gossip. It's not speculation. It's one word, repeated over and over. Finally, relief. Thank you. About time. Clean, or they're gone. The narrative is no longer Raina's. It's not even mine. It belongs to the company. They are, for the first time in a decade, breathing clean air. The roar of the atrium has faded. The adrenaline of the town hall, that hot, public wave of vindication has receded, leaving a silence that is vast and cold. The employees have scattered, taking the story with them, breaking it down into 1,000 digital whispers. The broadcast is over. The immediate threat is gone. I don't go back to my office, not yet. I take the elevator down, not to the lobby, but to the basement, level B2, the central records room. The air is different here. It's the same as it was 2 days ago. When I stood in this exact spot and handed Mara the SD card, it's hot, dry, and smells of paper dust, ozone, and old ink. It is the smell of history. The whir thump of the industrial scanners is a steady mechanical heartbeat. This room is the building's memory, the one place where nothing is an image or culture, it is only fact. He is already here. My father. He is standing in the aisle, between archived invoices 9990-1995 and personnel files AC. He is not the president of Hearthline Foods. He is just a man in an expensive suit that suddenly looks too large for him. He seems diminished by the towering, gray metal shelves. He is a ghost in his own archive. He turns as I enter. His face is the color of the old paper in the boxes. The confident, booming authority from 1,000 board meetings is gone, hollowed out. He looks at me, and his eyes are the eyes of a man who has just been pulled from a wreckage. We stand in the hot, noisy silence for a full minute. The whir thump of the scanners is the only sound, digitizing the past, over and over. He raises his hand, not to me. He is holding something. It is a single, heavy key on a polished silver fob, the electronic master key to the 30th floor, to the CPO suite. He doesn't try to hand it to me. He just places it on top of a gray of 4-drawer filing cabinet that sits between us. The sound of the metal on metal is small, thin, and final. I was blind, he says. His voice is not a voice. It is a dry rasp, a rustle of paper. For 10 years, she was so bright, so convincing, and I wanted to believe her. I wanted the family. He swallows, a painful clicking sound in his throat. I was blind. His eyes finally meet mine. They are full of a terrible, empty clarity. You were not. This is the moment, the one I saw in my mind 1,000 times in that diner. Scrubbing grease off the counter. The moment of apology. The moment he would finally see me, would finally say he was wrong. The moment he would pull me in, and I would finally be his daughter again. I feel the gravitational pull of that scene, the expectation, the need for a resolution. But the girl who needed that is gone. She was erased by a conduct report. She was forged in accounting textbooks. I don't move toward him. I don't cry. I don't offer him the comfort he doesn't deserve. The past is an archive. It is a fact. It cannot be changed. I reach into my own briefcase. I pull out a 3-page document. It is stapled in the top left corner. I slide it across the top of the filing cabinet. It stops just beside the key. He looks down. The title is simple: Policy Rebuild Plan, Vendor Onboarding, Governance, and Ethics, Draft. She's gone, I say, my voice flat, cutting through the noise of the scanners. But the system that let her do it is still here. This is the fix. He looks at the paper, then at me. His face, for a second, is confused. He was prepared for tears, for rage. He was not prepared for a memo. This, I continue, tapping the first page, is a 3-bid minimum for all service contracts over $20K. This is a total firewall between HR approvals and financial disbursement. This is a mandated, external, third-party audit of all C-suite expense reports. And this, I tap the last page, is a new, fully anonymous whistleblower hotline, managed by an outside law firm, reporting directly to the general counsel and the lead director, not to HR, not to the president. He stares at the document. He is finally seeing me. Not the hysterical girl, not the vengeful daughter. He is seeing the auditor, the one who just saved his company from itself. He is seeing the solution, and he is seeing the price of it. His power is being dismantled, checkmated by his own head of risk, by me. He nods. It is a slow, defeated, total surrender. "Do it," he rasps. He picks up the silver key. His hand is shaking. He places it on top of my 3-page plan. "Do it. All of it." He takes a ragged breath. No PR, no statements about new beginnings or fresh starts. Just fix the machine. Ava, please. I pick up the key. It is cold. "I will," I say. I turn and walk out of the records room, leaving him alone with the paper ghosts. I return to my office on the 28th floor. It is quiet. My desk is clean. I log in. My full administrative access has been restored. I sit down. I draft an email to Mara Ellison. Subject: vendor list, priority replacements, and new policy. Draft, body, Mara. Attached is the policy rebuild plan. I'll await your notes. Also attached is a pre-vetted list of 3 new compliance training firms. National reputation, clean audits. Let's get them in for bids by Monday. I pause. I add one more paragraph. Peace. Please also route this to the new Community Fund Committee. I am proposing the creation of the Hearthline Internal Scholarship, anonymous, need-based, for the children of all non-executive staff. We can fund it using the 37% we claw back from the Graybridge contract. Let's make that money clean. I hit send. My desk phone buzzes. Not a call. A high-priority email. The sender is Elijah North. The recipients are the entire executive team, including my father. The subject is Board Action and Leadership Transition. I read it. It is as cold and efficient as a guillotine. The board has accepted the immediate resignation of Raina Calder. Her duties will be absorbed by the CEO and General Counsel on an interim basis. She took the deal, a quiet exit in exchange for not fighting the inevitable. She's gone. The contract with Graybridge Learning has been terminated for cause. Effective immediately, all funds are frozen, and civil recovery proceedings have been initiated. Elias Parker has been terminated. The full case file has been transferred, as of 3:00 p.m., to the relevant state and federal authorities for their review. We are cooperating fully. I lean back in my chair, the sound of the final, heavy gear clicking into place. A 10-year machine has just completed its function. It's over. I open the bottom drawer of my desk, the one I keep locked. My fingers find the small plastic case. I pull out the blue SanDisk SD card, practiced on 17.MP4. It looks harmless, just a small square of plastic and silicon. An antique. It feels warm in my hand. A decade ago, this was a bomb. Now, its fuse is spent. I pick up a plain, brown, internal mail envelope. I slide the SD card inside. It makes a tiny rattling sound. I take a heavy-duty stapler from my desk. I staple the envelope shut. Click, 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 sealing it. I take a black permanent marker. I write one word on the front, in clear, block capitals. Closed. I don't put it in the legal safe. I don't send it to Mara. I put it back in my desk drawer, under a stack of new notebooks. It is no longer evidence. It is a receipt, paid in full. I pick up my personal phone. One last piece of the machine. I open my texts. I scroll to a name I have not contacted in months. Sloan. My thumb hovers. I type one sentence. You get a clean slate. Use it. I hit send. I don't wait for the delivered receipt. I don't wait for a reply. I turn the phone over and place it, screen down, on the desk. I stand up. I walk to the glass wall of my office. The town hall feels like a lifetime ago. Outside, the storm has passed. The rain has stopped. The mist that shrouded the city is gone. The sky is a deep, clear, bruised purple. The sun is gone. The city lights are flickering on, sharp and precise. Every window, every street lamp, every car, a vast, interconnected grid of data. The air is so clear the city looks like a freshly whetted blade. I look back at my dark office, the glowing monitors, the silent phone. This is the end. My revenge is complete. It doesn't end with Raina in a jail cell. Or my father in tears. I don't care about that. That's just emotion. That's just noise. It ends here. It ends with the system. The system that she used to destroy my life. The system that I rebuilt to destroy hers. I didn't break the rules. I enforced them. To the letter. I pick up my bag. I walk to the door of my office. I hit the light switch. The room clicks into darkness. The revenge is finished. It ended exactly where it began, in the system. And now, the system is clean, and it is mine. The 8:00 a.m. light in the Grayford atrium is sharp. It cuts across the granite floors, bright and sterile. The mood in the building is not celebratory. It's quiet. It is the focused, clean silence of a hospital room after the fever has broken. My terminal is active. The first email, sent system-wide at 8:01 a.m., is not a speech. It's a mechanism. From Risk and Compliance, System Administrator, to all staff, all departments. Subject, Code of Conduct, rebuilt, effective immediately. The body is a single, cold directive. Effective 09:00 today. The new Hearthline Foods Code of Conduct is binding. This document supersedes all previous versions. Mandatory review and digital acknowledgement are required by end of day. You can access the new policy here. The machine is fixed. The new rules are in place. I grab my blazer and walk out of my office. I don't go to the boardroom. I don't go to the executive suite. I take the elevator down to the main floor. I walk through the atrium. The podium from yesterday's town hall is gone. The employees are moving with purpose, heads down, carrying coffee, returning to their work. The crisis, for them, is over. The infection has been purged. I pass the executive corridor, the one leading to the CPO suite. Yesterday, it was the center of power, the source of the culture, radiating sandalwood and authority. Today, the glass door is closed. The silver plaque bearing Raina's name has already been removed. There is just a blank, brushed steel plate. The high-backed chair in the reception lounge where she used to hold court is just a chair. It's empty. There are no flowers. There are no sympathetic notes. There are no hushed whispers. There is only her absence, a vacuum, a clean, necessary void. It's as if she was never here. The system has already rerouted itself around the obstruction. I stop under the massive digital screen by the main entrance. The 4 red timestamps are gone. It has reverted to its default screensaver, a gently moving abstract blue background. In the center, the company motto, written in clean, white sans serif. Do the right thing when no one's watching. It was her motto, the one she put in the orientation packet. A small, involuntary smile touches my lips. It's not a smile of happiness. It's a smile of completion. I did it when everyone was, I whisper to myself. The public part is over. The cleansing is done. There will be no press release from me. No Westvale Gazette feature detailing the fall of the CPO. The SEC filings will be the only record, and they will be cold, dense, and unreadable to anyone but an auditor. My father is on an extended, indefinite leave of absence. Elijah North is interim CEO. The justice is proceeding, by the book. There is one last piece of administration. I walk to the legal suite. I am carrying the brown, internal mail envelope, the one with the heavy staples, the one marked, in my own black marker, closed. Mara isn't at her desk, but her assistant is expecting me. I am buzzed into the legal vault, a fireproof, climate-controlled room, the company's unchangeable memory. I don't open the envelope. I don't need to see the card again. That girl, that night, that evidence, it's an archive. I open the heavy steel door of the permanent legal safe. I place the sealed envelope inside, on a shelf marked Internal Investigations, 2025. It is not a trophy. It is an artifact, a lesson. I close the heavy door. The locking mechanism engages with a profound, solid thud. I run my finger over the digital label on the outside of the drawer. I add a single administrative note. Archive, do not destroy. It is a permanent data point in the company's memory. a warning. My work here is finished. I walk back out into the atrium, past the humming, productive quiet of the lobby. I walk toward the central elevator bank. I press the button for my floor. 28. The doors slide open with a soft, pneumatic hiss. I step inside the empty steel and glass box. The doors slide shut. For a half second, before the internal lights adjust, the polished steel walls act as a dark mirror. I see my reflection. It's just a face. The face of a woman in a business suit. The anger is gone. The fear is gone. The 18-year-old girl behind the bleachers is gone. There is no triumph. There is no joy. There is just silence. The deep, cold, perfect quiet of a system that is finally, totally, in balance. The job is done. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where in the world you're tuning in from. Please drop a comment below to share your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel and like this video. And if you enjoyed the story, please support us by hitting the hype button so this video can be heard by more people.